All right, so we're recording. First things, order of operations. So look at page 192 with me. We're gonna do this. We're gonna practice some, just like we're in class. Then at the end, we're gonna review some for your science test, which I think is Wednesday, I think. Okay, so look at order of operations. Tim and Tom were given this problem to solve. 6 plus 54 divided by 2 minus 4 times 5 equals n. Tim did this. 6 plus 54 is 60. 60 divided by 2 is 30. 30 minus 4 is 26. 26 times 5 is 130. Tom did this. 54 divided by 2 is 27. 4 times 5 is 24. 6 plus 27 is 33. And 33 minus 20 is 13. So they both got different answers. And that is because one of them did it correctly and one did it the wrong way. Tom's answer was correct. So 13 is the correct answer. So what I'm going to show you today is how to solve that. So we use something called order of operations. You might have heard PEMDAS before, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We'll get into that next year, but we're not going to use all of that. So this year we're going to do, and write this in your journal, my dear Aunt Sally. So we multiply, divide, add, and subtract. So this is just a little way to help you remember the order of operations. So I'm going to write in here, my dear Aunt Sally. And my handwriting is awful on this. Sorry, I don't have a stylus. I'm using my finger. So my dear Aunt Sally. So get that down that I'm going to show you something super, super important, because if you don't do what I show you, the next step, it'll be wrong every time, okay? So what you do is you do it in this order. So all you're doing right now is just writing this as the notes part. We haven't done anything else solving wise yet. Okay, so the next thing I want you to look at is what I do right here. I'm going to do it in red. I'm going to draw an arrow like this over multiply and divide. And I'm going to draw a green arrow over add and subtract. When you do these problems, you always do the multiplication and division first. Once you do that, then you do the addition and subtraction. And you do it in that order, whatever's coming left to right. So in just a minute, I'll show you how to do these once you get the notes down. But if we did the first problem, 6 plus 54, even though that's the first thing you see, it's not the first thing you do. You do multiplication and division first, whatever's coming left to right. Then you do addition and subtraction, whatever's left to right. So it is something that you're going to have to practice. Tonight's assignment, or the one I'll give you after this, will just be a homework assignment. And I'll correct it and let you know what you got wrong and right. And then tomorrow we'll do classwork on this. Once you get going, it's pretty easy. Next year, you'll add in some other stuff with it. So this will be just kind of to get us going. And then next year, we do more of it. So I'm going to give you a couple more seconds to get that down. So just remember in your head, my dear Aunt Sally, multiply, divide, add, subtract. And that's the order you're going to go in. And I'm recording this to post on YouTube too. So if I'm going too fast for some of you and you miss whatever I'm doing, I'll post it. That way you can go back and you can rewatch it. You can rewind it, do whatever you need. So let's look at the problem they give you. 6 plus 54 divided by 2 minus 4 times 5. Okay, that's what they give you. I'm going to write my dear Aunt Sally under it just to help me remember. So the first thing we do is multiplication. So I'm going to do that in red. Multiplication, you go in order. Hold on, I got 2 people trying to come in, so let me get them in. Okay, so when we see our multiplication, the only thing we see is 4 times 5, right? So we do 4 times 5 is 20. Now what you do is you rewrite that. 6 plus 54 divided by 2 minus 20. So I'm just solving 4 times 5 and I'm replacing that in the problem with the answer, which is 20. We don't have any more multiplication, so I'm done with that. Then I do division. So going from left to right, I see that my first division is 54 divided by 2. So some of you can do that in your head. Some of you, I'm going to go off to the side. 54 divided by 2. 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. Subtract, we get 14. And then we get 27. So we're going to replace that with 27. So 6 plus 27 minus 20. So I'm just rewriting it every time. I'm replacing whatever I did with the answer. So now division is gone. I solved that. So then I have addition and subtraction. Now this one, you do whatever comes left to right, just like the other one. So even though addition is first on this, that's just kind of a coincidence. I'm still going to do it first because it's the first one that comes up. Sorry, I'm trying to erase that. All right, so I do 6 plus 27, which equals 33. And then the only thing left to do is minus 20, so I get 13. And I know that was probably confusing because it's the first time you're seeing it. So we're going to keep doing it. That's a long one. The ones that they're going to give you for classwork or I'm giving you for homework tonight are not that long. So you should be okay. All right, hold on just a second. I got a parent. All right, let me see who all is here. See Ellis. Okay, Faith should be here then. There's Faith. Hi, Faith. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple more seconds to write that down. I'm going to move on to the next one. Let me text a parent back right here. Okay, so I'm going to clear this, and remember that I'm going to keep this up and I'm going to put it on the YouTube channel so that you guys can see it again if I'm going too fast for you. All right, so write this next one down. 100 minus 6 times 7. Ugh, I can't write on this. Divided by 2. So this is a little bit of a shorter one. So I'm going to write my dear Aunt Sally up here to help me remember. MDAS. So first things first is multiplication. So I go from left to right, just like I'm reading a book, and I look and see anything with multiplication. And there's 6 times 7. So I look at 6 times 7 and I get 42. Let me pause right here and tell you this too. It doesn't matter which comes first, multiplication or division. It's whichever one is coming left to right. So if I saw division here instead of multiplication, I would do that one first. Whichever one you see first when you're going left to right, with multiplication or division, you do that first. So I'll show you some more examples of that too. So then I rewrite it. 100 minus 42 divided by 2. So then next I see division because you do multiplication and division before you do addition, subtraction. So I'm looking at 42 divided by 2. I'm going to go off to the side and do that. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. Subtract it, bring down the 2, goes in 1. So we get 21. So now we have 100 minus 21. And then all there's left to do there is just to solve it. So 100 minus 21 equals 79. So that would be your answer. So I'm going to recap again. You go multiplication, division, whichever one comes first. They're kind of like a pair. They go together. Multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. You do whichever one comes first when you're going left to right. So I'm going to show you another one. I'm going to do a lot with you today. I'm going to let you guys practice some too so I can show you, because it is confusing the first time you do it. All right, so the next one I want you to write is 3 times 4 times 6 plus 5 divided by 5. So this one we have some multiplication, addition, and division. So I'm going to write my dear Aunt Sally. And you don't have to write that every time, but it helps me to kind of show you guys the steps as we go. So we're going left to right. We have multiplication and division over here. The one that comes first, though, is the one that is over here on the left. So we do 3 times 4 is 12. Then all we do is we bring everything else down and rewrite it. So 12 times 6 plus 5 divided by 5. Okay, so the next thing we look at is any more multiplication or division. We see multiplication coming over here on the left, so we do that first. So 12 times 6 is, solve it over here for you, 72, yes. So 72 plus 5 divided by 5. Okay, so no more multiplication. We do have some division though. So now we have division over here at 5 divided by 5 is 1. So we rewrite 72 plus 1 equals 73. So I'm going to try to find a video online too that might help you with the steps. So whatever you are doing it, think of multiplication, division as a pair. It doesn't matter whether multiplication or division comes first. It's whichever one is coming left to right. Then when you finish with all the multiplication and division, you try the addition, subtraction. So let me find one where it is kind of the opposite. I found one. I'm going to show you one with what I mean, because every one I've given you so far coincidentally has multiplication coming first. So it's not really helping me to show you that point. So this is the big important part though. If you see multiplication and division, they go together. You do whichever one comes first, going left to right. So I'm going to give you a couple more seconds to write this one down, and then I'm going to go to the next one. And I'll give you some to practice too while we're on here, so you can see whether you get them right with me. So just like class. I'm going to give you one of the harder ones for the next one, just because if we can do the hard ones, I know you can do the easy ones. So I'm going to clear this, and then I'm going to write the next one. It's kind of long. 30 plus 20 minus 25 divided by 5 times 5. Use however much room you need on your paper, however much you need. Don't do these in your head right now. Some of them you can. If it only has like 3 little numbers in it, you can probably do it in your head. But right now, these kinds, you need to be doing on paper because they're long. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, because I do it with all of these, is I'm going to write my dear Aunt Sally. So we know that multiplication and division go first. So I'm looking, and I have division here, multiplication here. So even though the division is over here, it doesn't matter that this says M and D. It could easily say DMSA. It could be backwards. It doesn't matter as long as these come first. So if I'm going left to right, I see this first. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. And I'm going to rewrite it. 30 plus 20 minus 5 times 5. Okay, then I'm going left to right again. So going left to right, I see addition, subtraction, multiplication. I know that multiplication has to come before we need to do any addition or subtraction. So I'm going to do 5 times 5 is 25. And then I'm going to rewrite it. 30 plus 20 minus 25. Okay? And then I don't have any more multiplication or division, so I can move on to addition and subtraction. So for addition and subtraction, it doesn't matter which one is first in our little saying of my dear Aunt Sally. You go whatever one is left to right. So when I go left to right, which is going this way, I see addition first. So 30 plus 20 is 50. And then I rewrite the rest of it, minus 25. And if you can do that in your head, which I'm pretty sure we all can, think of it like quarters, we get 25. And that's our answer. So this one was a little bit different because you have to go left to right, and they gave you division first, which is fine. So you would not do 5 times 5 first because it's not going left to right, it's not first. Okay, so let me check my chat here. All right, Leonidas, let me look, see what you might have done. I should have gotten 25 here. If you guys did not get 25 when you did it, look carefully at what I did and then see where yours was off a little bit. If you did 5 times 5 first, you would have gotten 25 divided by 5 equals 1, and that would have thrown you off. So that would have been the wrong way. So if I had done 5 times 5 is 25, 25 divided by 25 is 1, then I would have had 30 plus 20 minus 1. So that would have been 50 minus 1 is 49. So you see how you can get the wrong answer there? That's wrong. We don't want that. So I'm going to give you this one to try. I'm going to give you some ones with 5s in it because those are kind of the easier ones. 20 times 5 minus 50 times 2 plus 0. All right, so try that one on your own, and I'm going to solve it for you in just a second when everybody gets their chance to solve it. So multiplication, there is no division here, so you're really just doing multiplication first. Then you'll do subtraction, then you'll do addition. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple minutes to try that on your own. If you want to chat me with whatever your answer is, I'll chat you back and tell you if you're right or wrong. This one's one of the harder ones. So if you're confused on it, just try it, and then I'm going to go through and show you. This is new, and we'll spend a couple days on it, so if you're confused, I promise we'll get it. You guys did really well with your division, so I'm proud of you on that. I haven't gotten anybody that's gotten this one yet. Oh, Arav got it. Arav, you're right. This is good. I like that you guys are chatting it to me. That way I can see who is getting it right and wrong, because if only one person's gotten it right, that means we need to practice. Now, Alice, you got it? Rahel, try again. Skylar, I'm gonna get you in just a second. Faith, that's right. And you don't have to message me if you don't want to. Clive, yes, you got that one right. Give everybody a little bit more time to try. I got somebody trying to come into the meeting. There's chance. Cammy, you got it, but you need to finish that. Finish the end of it. Parker, that's right. All right, so I'm gonna go over it with you guys. I know some of you are still working, but I'm gonna show you. So first things first, we look for multiplication or division. I don't see any division, so I'm gonna do whatever comes left to right, just like you're reading. So 20 times 5 is first. So I'm gonna show you over here. Maybe not. 20 times 5. So 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 2 is 10. So for that one, I got 100. So I'm going to write 100. And then I rewrite the rest of the problem. 100 minus 50 times 2 plus 0. Okay, so I still see some more multiplication right here. So I have 50 times 2. Think about quarters. That's 100. So I rewrite it. 100 minus 100 plus 0. Then I do any addition or subtraction I see going left to right. So look at this. Even though subtraction comes first, it's still coming first going left to right. So for addition and subtraction, you do whatever is coming first left to right. So 100 minus 100 is 0, plus 0 is 0. Okay? So look at yours and then look at mine and see if that can help you figure out what you did wrong on yours. Okay, good. I think everybody is, from your chats, I think we're looking good. This one was a hard one. So if you can see what I did and how I did it, then you're good. So 20 times 5 first gave us 100, then minus 50 times 2 plus 0. So we did 50 times 2 next, which is 100. And then we got 0 from there on out. Okay, so I'm going to give you another one. Try to give you an easier one this time. Okay, so give me just a second. I have a million things on my screen to clear. Okay, so I want you to try on this one. 6 times 6 plus 10 divided by 5 minus 1. So this is kind of a culmination of all the stuff we've been doing. You need to know your multiplication facts. You need to know how to divide. You won't really have any long division here, but you will have your basic division, which you guys can do. You guys did really well with your division with whatever we've been doing through Shobi, so it's been good. Okay, so go with your steps. You do any multiplication or division first, whichever is going from left to right. Okay, it looks like my screen is frozen, so I'm gonna have to unshare my screen and then share it again. So give me just a second. It was doing this with 5th grade this morning. Let's see if it'll work. There we go. Okay, so that arrow there shows you how to go left to right. All right, so some people have been sending me their answers. Arav, yes. Clive, no. Leonidas, no. Faith, no. Rahel, no. Skylar, no. Keep trying that one. You guys are really close, just not quite there yet. Nobody is super far off. Braylon, yes. Remember, it doesn't matter that multiplication or division is not in the order it is here, whichever one comes left to right. So I'm going to get you started on this, see if I can get some more right answers. So 36 would be the first thing I do, because 6 times 6 is 36, plus 10 divided by 5 minus 1. Parker, not quite. So then the next thing you would do would be 10 divided by 5. Callie, Clive, not quite. So you're going to rewrite it and say 36 plus whatever you got for 10 divided by 5, sorry, minus 1. Cami, close but not yet. Leonidas, close but not yet. Lorelai, not quite. So look at me when I'm doing it. Look at your screen. The first thing I did was look for any multiplication or division. So I see 6 times 6 and 10 divided by 5. I do whichever one comes first in the problem. So we did 6 times 6 is 36 plus 10 divided by 5 minus 1. All we did was rewrite it. Then I look for any more multiplication or division, and I see 10 divided by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So I do 36 plus 2 minus 1. So then I look at addition or subtraction going left to right. So 36 plus 2 is 38. Minus 1 equals 37. So that's your answer. You guys seeing that now? Once I solve it, are you guys seeing it? Thumbs up or down or sideways? Once I solve it, are you guys kind of understanding how you do it? Okay. And if I need to work with you one-on-one too, we can. And I'm going to let you guys ask questions in just a minute. All right, let me give you a simpler one. And this time I do mean simpler, more simple. Let me see what your classwork is today, because I'm going to take something off of that. All right, try 8 minus 4 divided by 4 plus 4. This is something that's in your classwork today, so hint, hint. You could just copy that down when you do your homework, So 8 divided by 4, 8 minus 4 divided by 4 plus 4. So my dear Aunt Sally. So remember, today is not going to be a grade on it, so if you totally miss them all, it's going to be okay. We'll practice more. Or yes, you got that. Leonidas, try that one again. Callie, try that one again. Remember, you're going to do division first. Faith, that's right. Parker, try yours again. Clive, try yours again. Don't stress out if you don't get it, I promise. I know it's frustrating, it's new. Skylar, that's right. Callie, you're close. Rahel, that's right. Leonidas, that's right. Braylon, that's right. Make sure that when you're doing your chat, you're not doing it to everybody, because it shows everybody. Make sure it's a private chat. All right, so let's go over this one together. So no multiplication. So we do multiplication or division first, whichever's left to right. So we get 4 divided by 4. That's 1. So I rewrite it. 8 minus 1 plus 4. Then I look at, see if I have any more multiplication or division, and I don't. So the next thing is to do any addition or subtraction. Even though in our little saying, addition comes before subtraction, it doesn't matter. That's just kind of a saying. So we look from left to right, and the first thing I see going left to right is subtraction. So I do that first. 8 minus 1 is 7. And then I add 4 and I get 11. Okay. All right, we're going to try one more, and then I'm going to let you guys, I'm going to unmute you and let you ask some questions, okay? I'm going to do one maybe that's not on here. Try, I'm going to make one up, but it's kind of short. 5 times 5 plus 3 minus 2. You solve that one. I'm going to solve it on my paper here. Faith, the saying is my dear Aunt Sally. So MDAS. Okay, so I'm going to write mine down and solve it with you guys because it's not in the book. All right, Aura, you got it. You did yours faster than me. Let me answer one of my kids on Shobi while you guys are working. Clive, that's right. Leonidas, almost. Braylon, that's right. Parker, that's right. Rahel, that's right. Lorelai, that's right. Ellis is right. Marshall. Callie, you're right. All right, I'm going to show you guys how to do it. Just a second. All right, so first things first, multiplication or division. I see some multiplication here. So 5 times 5 is 25. No division, no more multiplication. So I'm going to move on and rewrite the rest. So then I see addition and subtraction. I see whichever one comes first, which is right here. So 25 plus 3 is 28. Minus 2. That's horrible. Okay, hold on. Minus 2 is 26. Okay, so I think what I really need to reiterate with you guys is whatever comes first with multiplication or division is the one you do first, whichever one comes left to right here. All right, so I'm going to unmute you guys. Only talk if you have a question. Otherwise, it gets really bogged down and it won't let me hear questions. So if you don't have a question, just stay quiet for a minute. If you do have a question, I'm going to unmute you, and it should show you in a second when I unmute you. All right, you're muted.
Okay.
If you don't have a question, get your science.
Wait, get my science out?
Yeah, if you don't have a question about
Did
math,
she tell you what you're working with?
What?
Did she tell you what you're working with?
if you do have a question, if you want to talk to me privately, we can do that too. Okay, everybody, that's fine.
Hey, Miss Clark.
Practice.
Okay, to science.
Science.
Miss Clark.
Ellis, your question?
Are you gonna tell us our homework at the end of it, or?
Yeah, it's already on Shobi. I'll unlock it whenever we're done with this.
It's on Shobi. She said whenever we're done, she's gonna unlock it.
It's in your book. Braylon, I think you have to unmute yourself.
It wouldn't let me unmute it every time I pressed it.
Alright, so if there's no more questions, we're going to leave our dog here while we get our science out. We can do
Man,
Jada, yes, you were right on yours. I just got your message. I'll tell you guys what's for homework.
Pictures.
Alright, I'm going to start this straight. Remember me, is your test Wednesday? your test is Wednesday, so let's take a review for that. So we're just gonna go over some.
We talked about that. She said don't get it out or just don't anchor it.
I'm gonna let you guys ask any questions. I know today's not the time.
Oh.
All right, I'm gonna mute you guys, and then I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do.
Okay.
All right, you muted. So what we're gonna do is kind of go over some test review. I gave you guys the study guide last week, and then Friday you were to review that and to watch the video, which I think was a pretty cool one. I found on Scholastic last night, and you guys could go look without me if you want to, that they have virtual tours that go with the I Survived books. And so I know a lot of you guys like those I Survived books. And so if you just look up Scholastic, and I think it's under virtual learning, it's all free right now. And they have virtual tours that go with it. So I'll look into that and see if I can find something cool. I tried to find one on the Titanic, but it was really lame, so I didn't pick that one. So I'm gonna look at your test, which is Wednesday. You need to know your vocab. I didn't give you a study guide like normal because we weren't there for you guys to be able to fill it in. So this is kind of the way I do it for 5th grade, is we go through the test and we write things down that we need to remember for it. So you guys are getting a head start for next year. So you need to know your vocab. There's 11 words on that. So it's the mold, cast, fossils, trace fossils, fossil fuel, natural gas, peat, lignite, bituminous coal, anthracite, petroleum. So again, this video will be up too, so you can go back and look at all that. So the first part will be matching your vocab word to the definition. And then there are, let's see, about 8 or 9 multiple choice ones. So I'm going to go over those with you, and they're all in your study guide too. A tree buried in a mineral hot spring would likely form a petrified fossil. So whenever you see trees in terms of fossils, think petrified. So what happens is the tree might break, or it might be a log that's rotting, and minerals will start to fill in, and over time they get really hard. When the minerals get hard, they kind of turn into like a rock. And then the outside of the tree, the bark and things continue to rot away. So what happens is the minerals take the shape of the old piece of wood. So that's called a petrified fossil. A trace fossil would be something like a footprint, droppings, a wormhole, a burrow, anything like that. So think of trace as something left behind. Bones are most likely to become a fossil. I think you guys know that because when you think of dinosaurs, you think of bones, dinosaur bones. So think of a bone as most likely what's going to form a fossil because it's hardest. When we study fossils, we can use their droppings to find out what they have eaten. If you don't know what droppings are, it's poop. So, sorry. It is what they ate. So we can find out more. We can find out if they were a carnivore, if they were an omnivore, a herbivore, whatever. We can figure that out. So that's why people study fossils. They want to figure out what that animal was like, especially if it's an animal that's extinct. One thing they're going to give you is a picture of some rocks, and it's going to have layers in it. Whenever you see a picture like that, the rock that's at the bottom is always going to be the oldest. So when rock gets layered, eventually over time, new things come in and it settles on top, pushes it down. New things come in and settle on top of that. Just like we did last year when we did our rocks and we made them, we pressed them real hard together. I think it was Starburst. Like pressed them hard. That is how this happens. So the older rock is going to be at the bottom. You need to know a mold forms when the remains of a dead plant or animal are washed out by rocks or water. So when you have the remains and they're sitting there and the water is coming by and it's washing out all the rotted out soft parts of the animal, what's left is the mold. So what we would have done in class is we would have taken some clay or some Play-Doh. This is what I do with 4th and sometimes 3rd. You take the Play-Doh and you say we had like a dinosaur figure. If we put the dinosaur figure in the clay and we peeled it back up, what's left is going to be the shape of the dinosaur. That's the mold. If we were to fill that in, we would have a cast. You can do that at home too if you have any of that. What we usually do is fill it in with glue, and you can peel it up and it'll be the cast. Heat and pressure might destroy the remains of the plant or animal. When that happens, it leaves something behind called a carbon film. Carbon is in the air just like what carbon dioxide, and it is what's left when all of that is destroyed. Again, it has the same question on here twice, I think, same kind of question. When the minerals take the place of once living materials, petrified fossils are formed. So when minerals fill it in, that is what petrified fossils are. You need to know that the type of coal that burns the hottest and has the most carbon is anthracite. So anthracite is the one that is kind of the one everybody wants to have, but we don't have a whole lot of it. So it's not something we use a lot because it's not easy to come by. So this anthracite has the most carbon, so it burns the hottest. On the other hand, peat has the least carbon, and it honestly looks like crumpled up dirt, and it doesn't burn very hot. So it's not something we want to use in a big factory. They're going to ask you why scientists study fossils. They study fossils so that they can learn more about Earth, what it was like a long time ago, what animals were like. Maybe we have animals now that are ancestors of that animal. It can help us study them that way. Why are most fossils found in sedimentary rock? So if you remember, sedimentary rock last year is the one that forms in layers. So I guess it wasn't the starburst one. I don't remember what we did. I think it was Snickers maybe. The Snickers one is the one that we cut in half and we looked at the layers. That is sedimentary rock. So fossils are found in that because there's not a lot of heat and pressure like there is with metamorphic rock. And igneous rock comes from volcanoes. So we don't have that going on with sedimentary. All sedimentary does is things come and they layer on top of it. That's why we have more fossils found there. There's not a lot of heat and pressure to destroy it. Most of the energy we use today came originally from the sun. Explained. Okay, so I tried to explain this as best I could in the video and in your study guide, but I'm going to do it again. So think back to dinosaur times. When the plants start growing, they're getting their energy from the sun to make the food. We did that this year with photosynthesis. So when the plants make the food, the dinosaur eats the food. So the dinosaur is getting its energy from the plant. That plant got their energy from the sun. When the dinosaur dies and it gets buried and buried and buried, that's what fossil fuels are. Fossil fuels come from fossils. That's why they're called fossil fuels. So if we are getting fossil fuels that come from fossils of dinosaurs that ate plants, then we're getting our energy originally from the sun. So it kind of follows a chain. The sun gave the plant the energy. The dinosaur ate the plant and got its energy from the plant, which got its energy from the sun. The dinosaur dies and it rots and it gets really compact in there. And over millions of years, it turns into petroleum or another kind of fossil fuel. And then that's how we get oil today. So the oil we use to make gasoline and things like that comes from fossils that have been buried for millions of years. Another thing is with the coal. It comes from plants. So swampy plants and things that were around when dinosaurs were around, it's taken that long to get to turn into coal. That's why it's called a non-renewable resource, because we don't have any more of it. Once we use it, that's when we're done. Another thing it'll ask, and we've done this a million times, sometimes scientists find fish fossils buried in deserts. What do you think scientists might infer from a find? Well, we know that if we find fish fossils in the desert, then it obviously once had water. We went over that with our standardized testing a whole bunch. Another one they'll do is it's going to give you a picture, I don't know if you can see it, like that, where it gives you some footprints in some mud or some dirt, and it says, suppose you're a scientist observing this fossil. What details from the fossil will you check to learn about the animal that made these tracks? So if you're seeing tracks, you need to study the distance. So if they're super far apart from each other, the animal will probably have really long legs. If they're really close to each other, it probably have really short legs. If it has really big prints, it probably have really big paws, versus if you see prints that are this small, it's probably a smaller animal. You would look at the pattern, those kind of things. You might want to see how deep it is. If it had a really deep imprint, it's probably heavier. So those are the kinds of things that'll be on your test on Wednesday. So what I'm going to do is unmute you guys and let you ask any questions. If you don't have any questions, you can leave the meeting and I will unlock your assignment right now. So
Bye.
if you want to bye, if you want to say
Miss Clark.
yes,
Bye.
Miss Clark.
yes, or if I hear you have a question.
Bye.
Actually,
We have the option
Bye.
now, so
I'm trying to tell you that can we
Bye.
you know what is like PE stands for in PEMDAS?
Parentheses and exponents.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, you'll get to that next year. We're not there quite yet.
Miss Clark.
Just unlocked your math assignment, guys, so it's there for you.
Bye, Miss Clark.
Bye. Who said Miss Clark? Is it Jada?
How can you leave? Oh, there. Miss Clark.
Your assignment today is going to be on page 193, 1 through 10, those of you who are asking.
I didn't hear you.
Page 193, 1 through 10. It's on the show. You're gonna unlock
Wait,
it.
193. I couldn't hear after 193.
Numbers 1 through 10.
Okay, and I got this for my birthday.
Is there
Pocket
another one?
watch.
Oh, pocket watch. That's cool.
Yep.
I like that.
And